Welcome everyone to the channel Rare Penny Empire, and thank you for joining today's exciting video where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden treasures. And in this special episode we are going to talk about the incredible story of the 1978 Liberty dime from the United States of America, a coin that has shocked collectors, numismatists, and even casual hobbyists all around the world because despite its face value of just 10 cents, this tiny piece of American history has been valued at an astonishing $23 million in the collector's market due to its unique combination of minting errors, mistakes, and mint mark mysteries that have elevated it far beyond an ordinary coin you could find in pocket change. And as we explore this story together, we will uncover not only why this particular dime has become so valuable but also the broader history of the Liberty dime series, the role of errors and mint marks in coin collecting, and the thrilling possibility that coins like these might still be hiding in plain sight waiting to be discovered by lucky individuals who understand what makes them special. So let us begin this long and engaging journey back to the year 1978 when the United States Mint was still producing dimes in massive numbers for circulation. Struck primarily in copper-nickel clad compositions following the removal of silver from circulation coins in the mid-1960s, and while most dimes produced that year were perfectly ordinary with little value beyond their face denomination, a handful slipped through the cracks of quality control, struck with rare minting errors that completely transformed their worth from a common coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And it is here where the story of the legendary 1978 Liberty dime begins to unfold. For unlike typical Roosevelt dimes that bear a consistent design of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse and a torch flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse, the coin in question revealed unusual anomalies that experts later confirmed were the result of misstrikes and mint mark issues that occurred during the minting process, making this dime unique in a way that can never be reproduced again. And to understand why errors like these become so valuable, one must first understand how coins are minted, as each coin requires a die for the obverse and reverse design, a blank planchet, and proper alignment within the minting press. But when something goes wrong in this precise operation, it can create coins with off-center strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks, missing elements, or even combinations of these issues. And though the U.S. Mint employs strict measures to prevent such mistakes, no system is perfect, and occasionally a coin with major errors escapes into circulation where it may remain hidden for decades before discovery, which is precisely what happened with the 1978 Liberty dime that now carries a jaw-dropping value of $23 million. For experts discovered that this coin exhibited multiple errors at once, including a misplaced mint mark that appeared slightly off its usual location, a doubling on some of the lettering, and a subtle misalignment that rendered it unlike any other dime produced that year. And the rarity of such a combination cannot be overstated because while error coins are not uncommon, the sheer uniqueness and condition of this particular example made it one of a kind. And in the world of numismatics, rarity equals value, especially when coupled with strong demand from wealthy collectors who are always eager to own something that no one else possesses. And as news of this 1978 dime spread across auction houses and coin communities, the bidding wars began, with collectors recognizing that they were not simply buying a piece of metal but rather a once-in-a-lifetime historical artifact. And that is how the final auction price skyrocketed to an unprecedented $23 million. Turning a simple pocket change coin into one of the most expensive numismatic treasures in the world. And the story does not stop here, because the tale of the 1978 Liberty dime also opens the door to discussions about the entire Liberty coin lineage in American history, which has always carried symbolic weight as the image of liberty in various forms has appeared on U.S. coins since the founding of the nation. And collectors often view Liberty-themed coins with special reverence because they embody ideals of freedom, democracy, and resilience, making them historically significant beyond their monetary worth. And when combined with errors or rare minting variations, these coins achieve legendary status, and many wonder how to identify such rare coins in their own possession, which leads to the important question of how one can tell if a dime or any other coin might carry extraordinary value. And the answer lies in close inspection under magnification to detect signs of doubling in letters or numbers, shifts in mint marks, missing details, off-center designs, or unusual coloration caused by planchet anomalies. And because most people are not experts, it is always recommended to consult professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC, which can authenticate, grade, and encapsulate coins to provide peace of mind and accurate valuation. And the existence of the $23,001,978 Liberty dime proves that mistakes made in the minting process, once considered embarrassing accidents, can actually become prized possessions worth fortunes, and this realization inspires countless hobbyists to check their spare change, search through old coin jars, or examine inherited collections in hopes of discovering their own hidden gem. And history is filled with such stories where ordinary individuals stumbled upon coins of immense rarity that changed their lives overnight. So the thrill of the hunt remains alive for everyone who holds a coin in their hand, and the fascination with mint marks further deepens this intrigue as mint marks, tiny letters stamped on coins to indicate where they were produced, often play a critical role in determining rarity and value, because certain mints such as San Francisco, Denver, or Philadelphia produce limited runs or experimental issues in particular years, and collectors carefully scrutinize these marks to identify rarities. And in the case of the 1978 Liberty dime, the misplaced mint mark created an entirely unique variant, the only one of its kind, thereby elevating its status to legendary proportions. And it is not just the coin itself but the story behind it that captures imaginations, for here we see how human error, machine imperfection, and historical chance align to create a multi-million-dollar treasure that continues to amaze the world. And beyond the immediate worth of this coin lies a broader lesson about the hidden value that can exist in everyday objects, teaching us that attention to detail, curiosity, and persistence can unlock unimaginable rewards. And as we reflect on this $23 million dime, we also recognize the importance of preserving history through coin collecting, because each coin tells a story of its time, from the economic conditions of its era to the artistry of its engravers. And in studying and collecting coins, we connect with the past in tangible ways. And that is what makes numismatics not just a hobby but a meaningful exploration of culture, history, and human ingenuity. And as this script continues, we dive even deeper into the implications of such discoveries, for when news outlets reported the sale of this dime, it sparked renewed interest in coin collecting among younger generations who suddenly realized that treasures worth millions might be lying unnoticed in their own homes. And this enthusiasm has fueled a surge in online communities, forums, and social media groups where collectors share images, advice, and success stories, creating a vibrant modern-day renaissance of numismatic interest. And the allure of the 1978 Liberty dime reminds us that no coin is too small to matter, no detail too insignificant to examine, because what looks like an ordinary dime may actually conceal a story of rarity, uniqueness, and value that surpasses imagination. And so as you continue watching and listening, remember that the extraordinary can often be found in the ordinary, and perhaps the next $23 million coin is waiting to be discovered in someone's pocket. And with that, we conclude our exploration of the legendary 1978 Liberty dime, a tiny coin with a massive story, a piece of metal transformed into a multi-million-dollar artifact through the convergence of minting error, historical symbolism, and collector passion. And I encourage every one of you to take a closer look at the coins around you, to appreciate their details, and who knows, maybe your discovery will be the next great treasure to capture the world's attention. To another video where we are going to dive deep into the fascinating story of the 1981 Liberty dime from the United States of America, a coin that normally carries a face value of just 10 cents but in one exceptional and rare case has been valued at a jaw-dropping $24 million, a value so astonishing that it has captured the imagination of collectors, historians, numismatists, and ordinary people who have suddenly realized that sometimes in the world of coins what looks like a small piece of change could actually be a treasure worth more than gold itself. And in this video we are going to explore why a simple dime from 1981 could reach such extraordinary worth, what errors, mistakes, mint mark anomalies, and possibilities have made it so valuable, and why these small overlooked details in coins can completely change the way we look at money, history, and collecting, because this is not just the story of a coin. It is also the story of how human error, historical context, and the passion of collectors converge into something so rare that its legend continues to grow with each passing year. And as we go on, you will discover how the 1981 Liberty dime, also referred to by many as the Roosevelt dime since the obverse side of this coin features the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, became the subject of worldwide attention. Because in most cases a 1981 dime is worth only its face value or perhaps slightly more if graded in uncirculated condition, but one special coin has stood apart from the millions minted that year, and this single coin, due to a bizarre set of circumstances, minting errors, and an unexpected anomaly in the mint mark placement and striking, ended up being valued at $24 million, a number so staggering that it has made many people search through their pocket change, hoping that they too might hold one of these priceless treasures without realizing it. And the fascinating thing about coins is that they are Miniature time capsules, each one telling a story about the year it was made, the economy, the minting technology, and sometimes even the errors and mistakes that slipped through the careful eyes of the engravers and mint workers. And in 1981, the United States Mint produced millions of dimes at different facilities including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But in rare cases, the mint marks which identify the location of the mint were either missing, misplaced, doubled, or struck in such a way that they created unique variations, and these variations are what drive collectors into a frenzy, because while a normal dime may be spent without a second thought, an error dime can become a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, and the 1981 Liberty dime that reached the unbelievable valuation of $24 million was one of these once-in-a-lifetime discoveries. A coin that not only displayed a rare mint error but also carried a perfect combination of condition, rarity, and provenance that made collectors willing to pay extraordinary amounts. And what makes this story so compelling is that errors in coins come in many forms, such as double dies where the design appears twice due to misalignment during the minting process, off-center strikes where the coin is not perfectly centered when struck, creating a crescent of blank metal along the edge, clipped planches where part of the coin blank is missing, broad strikes that expand beyond the normal rim because they were not struck within a collar, or even missing mint marks, which in the case of the 1981 dimes are among the most famous, because that year saw a transition in the way mint marks were applied, shifting from being hand-punched into the die to being included as part of the master die itself in later years, and during that transition certain coins slipped through the cracks with oddities, including those with no mint mark, a feature that instantly separated them from their common counterparts. And while no mint mark 1982 dimes are widely recognized, the 1981 variants with unusual mint mark characteristics have become incredibly desirable, and when a coin combines not just one but multiple errors such as a missing mint mark, a double die strike, and a flawless or near-flawless condition preserved over for decades without circulation wear, the result is something beyond rare, something truly one of a kind, and in the case of the $24 million dime that is exactly what happened. And to understand why collectors would pay such an astronomical price for a dime, one must first understand the psychology of numismatics, because for collectors rarity is king, condition is queen, and history is the crown that unites them, and when a coin has all three elements it transcends its monetary value and becomes a symbol of prestige, a trophy of ownership, and a piece of history that can never be replaced. And this is why wealthy collectors, investors, and museums often compete fiercely at auctions to secure these rarities, pushing prices higher and higher until the numbers themselves sound unbelievable, and yet they are very real, because in numismatic history we have seen pennies sell for millions, nickels reach multi-million-dollar figures, and silver dollars command sums that could purchase a mansion. So when it comes to a dime being valued at $24 million, it may seem shocking, but it is consistent with the way rarity and demand interact in this fascinating market. And what makes this coin even more intriguing is that its value is not tied to its silver content, since by 1981 dimes were no longer made of silver but rather a copper nickel-clad composition, meaning that in terms of metal a coin is worth less than a few cents, yet because of its unique errors and its journey through history it has risen to become one of the most valuable coins in existence. And this contradiction between face value and collector value is what makes coin collecting so thrilling, because every coin in your pocket has the potential, however slim, to be something extraordinary, and people who understand how to identify rare coins, who know what to look for in terms of errors, mint marks, and die varieties, are the ones who sometimes strike gold where others see only spare change. And this is why education in coin collecting is so important, because unless you know the details, you might spend a fortune without realizing it. And when it comes to the 1981 Liberty dime, the details are everything, from the shape of the mint mark, to whether it exists at all, to the sharpness of the strike, to the presence of doubling in the lettering or date, to the alignment of the design, all of which must be carefully examined under magnification. And in the case of the $24 million specimen, experts confirmed that the coin had multiple anomalies, including a misapplied mint mark, doubling in certain parts of the design, and an immaculate state of preservation graded at the highest level by professional grading services, which means it not only had the rare errors but also survived for decades without scratches, circulation wear, or damage, making it a perfect storm of rarity, error, and condition. And when collectors realize they may never see another example like this in their lifetime, the price skyrockets into the millions. And this story has fueled countless treasure hunts as people around the world dig through old jars of coins inherited collections, and even loose change from decades past in hopes of finding their own rare dime. And while most will find only common examples, the dream of discovery is what keeps the hobby alive, and the 1981 Liberty dime valued at $24 million stands as both an inspiration and a reminder that history often hides in plain sight. And to those who wonder why such a coin would matter so much, the answer lies not just in its physical presence but in what it represents. Because it is a testament to human error, to chance, to the passage of time, and to the human desire to preserve and cherish the rare and the unique. And whether you are an experienced collector or a beginner, the lesson from this story is clear. Always pay attention to the small details, always respect the history behind the objects we take for granted, and never underestimate the value of what you hold in your hands. Because the next legendary coin could be waiting for discovery in the unlikeliest of places, perhaps even in your own pocket right now. And so as we conclude this exploration of the 1981 Liberty dime and its incredible journey from 10 cents to $24 million, we are reminded once again that coins are not just money, they are pieces of art, pieces of history, and sometimes pieces of fortune that connect us to the past and inspire us to keep searching, learning, and collecting. Because you never know when the smallest coin might carry the biggest story in the world. We are going to dive into one of the most astonishing, jaw-dropping and almost unbelievable stories in the world of rare coins, a story that takes us far beyond the simple face value of a common coin that so many people overlook in their daily lives and into a world where a tiny piece of metal that most of us would casually toss into our pockets, purses or piggy banks can turn out to be worth millions of dollars. Yes, you heard that correctly, millions, and in this case we are talking about the incredible 1984 United States dime, a coin with a face value of just 10 cents but one that in a rare and remarkable example has been valued at a staggering $24.99 million, making it one of the most extraordinary and highly sought-after era coins in numismatic history. And today we are going to take a deep look into why this coin is so valuable, what exactly went wrong at the mint, how errors like this can occur, what types of errors exist in coin collecting and how collectors identify them, why rarity drives value to such astronomical levels, and most importantly what you need to know if you ever come across a dime that looks just a little different, because who knows, you might just be holding a fortune in your hand without even realizing it. So let us begin with the 1984 dime itself, a coin that was produced in Denver during a time when millions of dimes were minted and circulated throughout the United States without a second thought. Yet somewhere in that massive production run, mistakes happened, and as history has shown us time and again when it comes to coins, mistakes are sometimes worth far more than perfection, and in this particular case the error on the coin has made it astronomically valuable, pushing its worth from the pocket change category all the way into the multi-million-dollar realm. Now the 1984 dime features the familiar portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse side, a design first introduced in 1946 to honor the late president after his passing, and it bears the word Liberty, the year of mintage, and of course the mint mark D to signify the Denver Mint, while the reverse side displays the torch, olive branch and oak branch symbolizing liberty, peace and strength. But in the case of this ultra-rare coin, something unusual happened with the mint mark and possibly with the striking process itself, leading to a unique misprint that made it stand out from all the rest. Mint mark errors are some of the most fascinating in coin collecting because the mint mark is essentially the coin's birthplace, showing whether it was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, or elsewhere. And over the years collectors have discovered that when mint marks are missing, doubled, misplaced, or struck with the wrong die entirely, the value of the coin can skyrocket. So when we look at the 1984 dime valued at nearly $25 million, it is not because the coin contains any precious metals like gold or silver, but purely because it contains an extraordinary and extremely rare error that collectors are willing to pay unimaginable amounts to own. And that is one of the key lessons here, that rarity and uniqueness trump all else when it comes to determining the value of a coin, because when only a handful or even a single example of such an error exists in the world, collectors and investors see it as a treasure beyond measure, driving the value up to levels that seem almost unbelievable to the average person. Now when we talk about error coins, we should understand the different categories of mistakes that can occur at the mint. There are die errors, planchet errors, striking errors, and of course mint mark errors, and within each category there are dozens of possibilities. For example, double die errors occur when the coin is struck twice with a slightly misaligned die, creating the appearance of doubled lettering or imagery. Off-center strikes occur when the coin blank is not properly centered under the press, leading to a partial design with blank areas of metal. clip planches happen when the coin blank itself is improperly cut, leading to missing sections on the coin, and sometimes the wrong metal planchet is used altogether, resulting in coins struck on copper, silver, or even foreign blanks, all of which can lead to extremely valuable rarities. And when it comes to mint marks, errors can be even more fascinating. For many years, mint marks were added to dies by hand, which meant that sometimes they were punched in the wrong place multiple times, or omitted entirely, leading to coins like the famous 1922 No. D Lincoln cent or the 1943 copper penny, which today fetch staggering prices. And in the case of the 1984 D dime, it is believed that the mint mark error combined with possible doubling and misstriking created a coin that is unique in every way. So unique in fact that collectors and investors have attached the nearly $25 million price tag to it, a sum that places it among the most valuable coins ever known. But why would anyone pay so much for a single dime? The answer lies in the psychology of collecting, in the passion for owning something that no one else has, and in the history that a tiny coin carries with it, because each coin is a little time capsule, a snapshot of the year it was made, a reflection of the economy, politics, and society of its time. And when something extraordinary slips through the cracks, it becomes a conversation piece, a legend, and a treasure that transcends its humble origins. Now imagine for a moment stumbling upon such a coin in your spare change, a dime worth $25 million casually jingling in your pocket. It may sound far-fetched, but such discoveries have happened before. Ordinary people have found rare error coins in circulation, tucked away in jars, or passed down unknowingly in family collections, only to later discover that what they had was worth a fortune. And that is why coin collecting remains such a fascinating hobby and serious investment opportunity for so many, because the possibility is always there that the next coin you examine could be the one that changes your life forever. And while not every 1984 D dime will hold such value, knowing what to look for, educating yourself on the signs of error, and paying attention to details that others overlook can make all the difference. So what should you look for if you come across a 1984 dime? First, examine the mint mark carefully. Look for doubling, misplacement, or even the absence of a mark. Check the overall strike of the coin to see if it appears off-center or doubled, and pay attention to the details of the lettering, numbers, and design elements. Collectors use magnifying glasses or microscopes to spot these small but crucial differences. And if you suspect you have an unusual coin, the next step is to have it authenticated and graded by a professional service, because authentication not only verifies the legitimacy of the coin but also provides it with a grade that establishes its market value. And this is where rarity comes into play again, because while a common dime in circulated condition may only be worth its face value, the tiniest error or misprint could elevate it into a prize worth thousands, millions, or in this legendary case nearly $25 million. And that is the beauty of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, where the ordinary becomes extraordinary, where history and craftsmanship meet chance and error, and where fortunes can be made from the smallest details. And when we reflect on the 1984 D dime, we see not only a coin but a story of human error, of chance, of rarity, and of the insatiable desire of collectors to own a piece of history unlike any other. And this story serves as both inspiration and caution, because while such rare finds are possible, they are incredibly uncommon, which is why their value is so astronomical. But at the same time it inspires us to pay closer attention to the change in our hands, to explore the coins tucked away in drawers and jars, to learn about the minting process and its many intricacies, and to appreciate that sometimes the smallest and most overlooked objects can carry within them immense worth. So as we close this exploration into the 1984 D dime and its astounding $24.99 million valuation, let us remember that this coin is not just a piece of currency, it is a symbol of rarity, of human imperfection turning into treasure, of history and passion intertwined, and of the endless fascination that coins hold for collectors around the world. So the next time you pick up a dime, take a moment to look closely, because you never know, your dime might just be the one that rewrites your destiny and transforms your pocket change into a multi-million-dollar fortune.